Ciao, welcome back to our course of Italian for Beginners. This is lesson 16, lezione 16. Today, before going forward, I'd like to concentrate on one specific, it's not exactly a topic, but let's call it a topic, which is the endings of nouns and adjectives. I know I have mentioned this before, and there is also a separate video on my channel, and not necessarily on this playlist, that talks about the endings. However, I wanted to dedicate one whole lesson to these endings, so that I can worry about this a little bit less for the next few lessons, and instead we can concentrate on having sentences and worry a little bit less about all these little details, and maybe a little bit less grammarly lessons. So a bit more a conversation, and as I said, full sentences, question and answer, and useful expressions, and ways of saying, verbs that you can use in real life. However, these very grammarly, as I said, things are the foundation of a language. So once you've learned all these boring things or extremely exciting things, which are the pieces of the puzzle that I've mentioned before, and once you understood, even if you haven't memorized obviously everything yet, but you can start having a clearer idea on how the language works, how you can have your own, make your own sentences, and then we can go on from there. Right. Sorry, I think there's a phone ringing in the background. Right, so let's share our page, which is this one. Right. So here we have endings of nouns, nomi, and adjectives, adjectivi. So nomi or nouns are things, people, objects. And adjectives are those words that describe the nouns. So they describe objects and people. As you know, nouns can be, in Italian, are either masculine or feminine, and they have specific endings. Adjectives must agree with the noun that they are describing. So if an adjective is describing a feminine singular noun, it needs to have the same ending. However, the same ending, but let's see exactly how these things work. So I've done a mini table. So we have maschile, masculine, and femminile. And then at the top we'll have singolare and plurale. So most singular nouns, masculine, end in O. And these nouns, masculine nouns ending in O, when they're singular, become E when they're plural. I have written some examples at the bottom. We'll see them in a bit. And also let's come down to this feminine, femminile. Most feminine nouns end in A when they're singular, and change into E when they're plural. So O masculine becomes I, a feminine becomes e. So these are most of the nouns. We then have a smaller group of nouns which end in e when they are singular. Some of these nouns ending in e when they're singular are masculine, some are feminine. When these nouns ending in e when they're singular become plural, the ending is I. So learning, especially this smaller group of nouns ending in e, I say, oh, how am I going to know if it's masculine or feminine? Remember that normally in a sentence, everything is surrounded or accompanied by other words. So there will be other words that will help you understand if this particular noun is feminine or masculine. It could be an adjective. It could be an article meaning the something or a something, which are also masculine or feminine, plural or singular. If instead you have just one word on its own, ending in a, assuming that it is a noun, you go in the dictionary and you find out what it means. And little thing, when you go in a dictionary, normally paper or online, just closer or immediately after the noun, you also have in brackets a letter either M for masculine or F for feminine. So all these symbols that you often find in good dictionaries, most dictionaries. So I've written an example for each of these nouns. So for I'm following exactly the same order. So maschile singolare ending in o, like libro, which is a book. Plurale libri, books. Masculine singular of a noun ending in e, bicchiere, a glass for drinking. Plurale bicchieri, that's the masculine. For the feminine, we have singular ending in a, casa, a house. Plurale case. Instead, for a noun, a feminine noun ending in e, when it's singular, we have nave, which is a ship, a big boat. Plurale navi, boats or ships. So this is, it is a rule. Obviously, it's not obvious. However, very often when there are rules, there are also exceptions. So there are also some other nouns that have the ending maybe in a letter that you do not expect when they're singular, when they're plural. But now we are talking about the rules, not exceptions. The exceptions, we'll see them separately or later. So this is what you can expect when it comes to nouns. Nouns, remember, are things and people. So if you look around, now I'm going to look around. You've got walls, curtains, chairs, tables, garden, plants, the sky, the sun and the moon, the bed and the kitchen, everything. Or mother, father, brother, wife, husband, a friend, dog, cat. Everything is either masculine or feminine. So they all belong to one of these groups. So these are the nouns, nomi. And then, as we said earlier, we have adjectivi, which are those words that describe the nouns. So they can so express a quality of a noun. So a noun, someone or something, can be nice or nasty and tall and short and fat and slim and interesting and boring and green or red or pink. Everything, all those words that you use to describe someone or something, those are adjectives. And as I said earlier, in Italian, also the adjectives change the endings and agree with the noun that they are describing. So let's see what happens with adjectives. Also, the adjectives can be separated in two groups. One bigger group is or are the adjectives which, as a default, remember there is always a default in the sense, if you go in the dictionary, if in fact you want to say, how do I say beautiful in Italian? You go in a dictionary. I'm talking about a lovely traditional dictionary made with paper. So you look for beautiful. The very first word will probably be bello. So the default in a dictionary for an adjective is masculine singular. The default for a noun would be singular. And then you work out the plural. So for this group, you start with a singular masculine. So we'll start with bello. You find out that the word for beautiful in Italian is bello and ending in o. So you can see it's singular masculine. Let's call this default. Unless you specifically, but probably online, you can ask for specific things and you give you different endings. But otherwise, you find bello. So this default adjective, masculine singular, you know now that you can, in fact, must change the ending, the last letter, in order to agree with the noun that is describing. So if you're describing a noun, which is masculine singular, you leave it as bello. If you're describing a noun which is masculine plural, it will become belli. If you're describing a noun which is feminine singular, it will be bella. And if you're describing a noun which is feminine plural, it will be belle. So this happens with most adjectives. So all those words that describe nouns. As I said, there is a default when you're looking for it in a dictionary. They will give you the masculine singular. And then you need to make it agree with a noun that you need to describe. So you change the ending. So you end up with the four endings that if we go back up here, so the same endings of the nouns. So look for patterns, basically. Normally, the letter O, automatically you think masculine singular of nouns and also of adjectives. So, for example, as I said, O maschile singolare, like libro. Un libro can actually be bello. And this is how we say a good book is a beautiful book. So un libro è bello. Il libro è bello. The book is beautiful or the book is good to read. Instead, we can have a plurale, in fact, libri belli, beautiful books or good books. Una casa is bella, femminile singolare. Many case o molte case are belle, femminile plurale. So most of the adjectives will belong to this group. We also have a smaller group of adjectives, which when they're singular end in e, and when they're plural end in I. This group of adjectives we can use for both masculine and feminine. So they don't have a difference between masculine and feminine, only between singular and plural. So interessante, we can use it for a book, un libro, and then let's use it for a house as well. Also, una casa interessante, it can be. Un libro interessante. Plurale, libri interessanti, case interessanti. So, talking about here, what I said earlier, the need to match. So the feminine must be feminine, the masculine, masculine, the singular, singular, the plural must go with the plural. So they need to match, but not aesthetically. So, for example, if we have case, feminine, plural, interessanti, you should not think, but this end in E and this one end in E, so they don't match. They don't need to match aesthetically. They need to match grammatically. Case, plural. Interessanti, plural. They go together. Because interessanti belongs to the group of adjectives that only has the difference between singular and plural, not masculine and feminine. Instead, for an adjective that belongs to this first group, case can only be belle, because we had the four endings. So we are going to use the ending for feminine plural. You can't have anything else. So the matching must be not aesthetically, but grammatically. Does the adjective belong to the first group? And then we have four endings, so they will match. Or does it belong to the second group? Where the difference is only between singular and plural. Remember also the other way around with nouns and adjectives can happen. So we can have navi, which is plurale femminile, and it's one noun that when it's singular ends in e. So plural will become e, but we know it is a feminine noun. If we want to say beautiful ships, beautiful boats, we have to choose the feminine plural adjectives, which is belle, navi belle. So they don't match aesthetically, but they match grammatically. Finally, as we have nouns and adjectives here, in Italian, the word order is different. In English, you have the adjective first, a beautiful house or home. In Italian, we have the adjective after the noun, a house beautiful. This is the norm, the rule. And then there are some cases where there's a few adjectives that can also be used before the noun. Sometimes they sound better. Sometimes a very small group of adjectives can have a different meaning according to the position. It has a certain meaning before the noun and another meaning after the noun. This actually happens in French, for example. French and Italian are quite similar as languages. Don't worry about these things. These are, as I said, they are mainly exceptions, and they are things that come later on, so you don't need to memorize these things now. For now, you study the rules, you learn the rules, and only after or gradually with time, you start seeing the exceptions. Right, as I said, I do have another video, I think is in my mixed videos on my channel, which covers these endings. However, this one is in particular for beginners. So this is lezione 16. lesson 16 of the course of Italian for beginners. And I hope this was useful. I will post or publish another video with some more grammar, with let's call it details again, and then we'll go on to having a bit more conversation or fuller sentences once we've covered the foundation. Ok, so I will see you next time with lesson 17, lezione 17. Alla prossima. Ciao!